Hello everyone, and welcome to my review of Final Doom on the PlayStation 1. And before I go any further, you'll have to forgive the croakiness of my voice, only I've had some sort of chest infection now for about a week, and it just doesn't seem to be clearing up. I did originally intend to do this review and get it released last week. As some of you may or may not know, I'm actually taking part in a gaming challenge at the moment, and the original idea was to do the review for this and then do a series of mini reviews on each of the games that I was doing in the gaming challenge. The idea being that once I'd completed each game, I would then do a little sort of 5-minute review on each of the games as I found them in the challenge. But to be honest, I don't think that's going to happen because I've only got till Friday and I've only done 3 of the games, so I'm actually sort of squeezing this review into a session breathing space, as it were, before I get back to the challenge. So it's not looking good for doing it that way. I may do like a couple of videos just sort of generally summarising each one, but I don't think that's going to happen at the moment, just basically because not only have I got the games that I've got to finish as part of the gaming challenge, I've only got them to do, but I've also bought some new games as well, and I want to get them played. So anyway, without further ado, I'll continue with the Doom review. Final Doom was released in 1996 by Midway Home Entertainment, and it was developed by id Software, the Casali brothers and Team TNT. Final Doom was, as the title of the game suggests, intended to be the final official release of some new levels that were designed after Doom 2 was released. And one of the good things about Doom is the ability for programmers to develop their own levels for the game. For the release of Final Doom, id Software actually took some levels that were designed by the Casali brothers. They developed the Plutonia add-on pack, and Team TNT, who developed the Evolution add-on pack, and they actually bundled those together and released them on the PC as Final Doom. Now, the difficulty level was notably ramped up, as these levels were intended to challenge those who had completed Doom 2 on hard and wanted more of a challenge. This is indeed the case, as there is no gentle easing into the missions, unlike Doom and Doom 2, where the initial bad guys are more suited to the limited firepower you have on offer. On the higher difficulty levels, you will be confronted by more powerful demons earlier on in the game, often when you are only armed with a double-barrel shotgun as your most powerful weapon. After the release of the PC version, and following the well-received and successful version of the Doom and Doom 2 package on the PlayStation 1, Midway decided to release this on the PlayStation 1 as well. Now, as with the version of Doom and Doom 2 on Sony's console, there was a notable compromise in graphics, as well as many levels being simplified and some of the more complex PC levels being omitted altogether. This was due largely to the limitation of the PlayStation 1. The PC version of the game did actually require you to have higher specifications to run than those required to run Doom 2, so it was inevitable that the Sony version would suffer yet more compromises. There was also some demons missing from some of the levels, and the difficulty was lowered. Although it was still tougher, it was lowered to be similar to that of Doom and Doom 2 on the PlayStation. However, these compromises did not stop the original Doom and Doom 2 package from being very well received and enjoyable to play, as there was no reason why this one should be marked down for those reasons accordingly. What was actually included on the PS1 version that didn't get included with the PC pack was the Master Levels. This was an expansion pack that was developed for the PC by id Software, so it wasn't included in the PC package because it had already been released, but id Software bundled it along with the Final Doom levels in the PlayStation 1 version. And there was no story behind the Master Levels, they were just add-on levels, but there was a basic story behind TNT Evolution and Plutonia. The TNT Evolution sees the UAC trying experimenting with portal technology again, only this time in the presence of heavily armed marines. Now they do defeat the demons once, but later on a huge ship arrives over Io where they're conducting the experiment, and the demons land and start killing everyone in the base, so it's left to you to take on the hordes of demons alone. In the Plutonia experiment, the UAC under new leadership tries to develop technology that will prevent the same demon invasion that had ravaged Earth in Doom 2 from happening again. However, you guessed it, the experiment goes horribly wrong. The demons pour into the base, killing and zombifying everyone, leaving just you to run around clearing up the mess. As with both Doom and Doom 2, there is virtually nothing in terms of in-game narrative. It is just simply a case of fighting your way through each level, picking up weapons, ammo and keys, and getting to the exit. It is simple, yet addictive as hell, and in an age where video games seem to be trying to become more and more complex and clever in terms of their storytelling, it is actually refreshing to go back and play a game that has no CGI or overblown production values, which crank up the budget of the game no end. But, it's something that is ultimately lost on the game player, as you're just forced to sit there and watch. There's very little in terms of interactivity. Final Doom certainly adds to the original Doom franchise, and its increased difficulty, which, as I said earlier, was still the case with the PS1 version, only wasn't as severe as the PC version, was much welcomed. I can say, having played through both Doom and Doom 2 time and time again on the harder difficulty settings, it was great to have something that made you stop and think. It was great to have levels where you didn't know what was going to happen, or you didn't know how to tackle the next bit without first of all having sat there and thought about it and played through it. The levels are varied, albeit in terms of level layout, as opposed to visually, as on the PlayStation 1 due to the limitations of technology. The actual colour effects on the levels are recycled over and over again. However, actually thinking about it, the developers of the PS1 version were right to make things slightly easier. When this was released, it did support the PlayStation 1 mouse. Now, I actually had the PlayStation 1 mouse, and I have to say I thought it was terrible to try and play the game that way. The PlayStation 1 version, for me, was simply not designed to take advantage of the mouse technology, and its inclusion felt more like an afterthought, although I do know a number of people that actually did like playing with the mouse. But for me, I just found it much easier playing it with the PS1 controller, and that's saying something. Despite the omissions made from this version, it is also worth pointing out that there are some frame rate issues as well. The complex levels may have been omitted, but the PlayStation 1 certainly chugs pretty badly in some areas, though not enough to render the game unplayable. Certainly, if there were even more demons in the level, then the frame rates would no doubt have dropped even further. All things being considered though, this is a great version of Final Doom, and to this day it's quite hard to get hold of. I actually paid £15 for this version that I got to review this game, and that is some 14 years after the game was released. In playing the game to do this review though, I really enjoyed going back over these levels, and that's despite owning the superior PC version. For some reason it's just a real blast to go back and play it on the PlayStation. As this, along with the Doom and Doom 2 release, should work perfectly on the PS3, I can really recommend you trying to hunt them down. The one clause I will have in saying that though is I'm not 100% certain on whether these actually will work with the newer PlayStations, but I've tried this out on my old 60GB PlayStation and it worked fine. To summarise, it's a great version of the game, and if you love Doom like I do, you will find many hours of challenging gameplay to be had. I will say that if you do own an Xbox, get Doom and Doom 2 off Xbox Live Arcade, as they are brilliant versions of the PC game, and I'm hoping that Final Doom will make it on there in the near future. But for the time being, if you want to play some Doom and you haven't got a PC that will run it, because the newer PCs won't run it, then check this out. Thanks very much for persevering with my voice, and thanks for watching this video, and I'll see you sometime in the future. Thanks a lot. Bye.